The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to episode 2 of season 3. Today we are discussing the very scary topic of phobias and superstitions. We're going to be looking at some interesting phobias and some really weird superstitions, not just from North America, but from all over the world. So let's begin the show with some Meltdown fun facts on phobias. Brief history of phobias. You could say the history of phobias goes farther back than we humans and our consciousness. Animals develop fears of things all the time. Fear of something and stress reactions are probably the most fundamental and primitive of all emotions because they enable folks to go after important goals and react accordingly to dangerous situations, which is exactly what you said. Now, if fears are based in reality, they're a phobia, right? And then as we learned last season, if they're based on but if they're irrational, they're at paranoia. Right. But that's a whole other season. The word phobia was derived from Phobos, the Olympian Greek god of fear and panic. Of all the Greek gods, can you imagine getting that job? You're going to be fear and panic. What again? I was fear and panic last year.
I wanted to be thunder this season.
In 600 BC, a Byzantine emperor named Heraclius had a phobia of bodies of water large enough to drown in, known as thalassophobia. Because of a horoscope cast by a trusted astrologer named Stephanos. Now, somewhere around 440 BC, the earliest records of phobic behaviors were left by a Greek physician named Hippocrates, a name we all recognize, but although he was not responsible of coining the term phobia. In 63 BC, Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar suffered from astrophobia, the fear of lightning, after witnessing someone near him get struck by lightning. It was because of this phobia he built the Temple of Jupiter and hid underground whenever there was a thunderstorm. And around 50 AD, a Roman doctor named Celsus used the term hydrophobia to describe a person with a fear of water. Many phobias now have technical terms starting with a Roman or a Latin word, such as arachnophobia, which is
Fear of spiders.
Tetraphobia.
Fear of tetrarchs from ancient
Israel.
No.
What? No, tetraphobia.
Pontius Pilate
You
was a
couldn't be
tetrarch.
more wrong, Jeff. Tetraphobia is fear of the number 4.
Oh, okay.
Or aviophobia, which is the fear of flying.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have a much higher understanding and clear classification of phobias and anxieties, but don't take it for granted because, back in those days, in the BC days, you would have just been considered crazy and probably beyond help, right? Of all these phobias. So that's a little bit of history on the origin of the phobias. Yeah, I feel better saying that as a German. Yeah, if you discuss the origin of the phobias.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. that we should discuss that.
It makes us sound a little bit more like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now we discuss the origin of the phobias.
Yes, we will. Phobias which go way back.
Way back. Which is a very common German phrase. Way back, man.
And Sigmund Freud, that's who we are right now.
Yeah. And, we're full of Freud. So now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, once again, for a Meltdown Minute with Lou.
Superstitions are something that I find very, very fascinating. Bad luck, the whole idea of bad luck. And as I mentioned, I am Italian. I come from a background where that kind of stuff is pretty prevalent. I'll give you an example. If you get a headache in my family, this is what my mom does. She takes out a little plate, she fills it with water, a few drops of olive oil, and then she divines from those drops who gave you a headache. because it's science. You see what I'm saying? Sports superstitions. I don't understand that. So why do you think they won the game there, Tommy? Well, I tucked a clove of garlic in betwixt my balls last game, and that seems to have done the trick. Also, I used the word betwixt there, which I thought was pretty cool. I have an English degree. My parents are super proud. Can't answer your next question. But it's a weird thing, right? 13. Why is that unlucky? No idea. Ladders. Listen, I'm Italian. I've walked under a lot of ladders. It doesn't matter.
All right, and now it is time for some Meltdown Stupidness. So I want to clarify something now. Even though these 7 most unusual phobias are in our stupidest segment, I don't want to infer that we think you're stupid if you have these phobias. Not at all. Because, phobias are real to the people that have them.
I got one.
I just think they're stupid to begin with. Not that you're stupid, that the phobia is stupid. And wouldn't you be happier if you didn't have it? Right? What's your phobia, Jeff?
Very common one, acrophobia, fear of heights.
Oh, yeah.
I'm terrified to go out on a balcony, even if it's only like 3 stories high. I've walked underneath the CN Tower. I look up, I get dizzy, like literally dizzy. Or
really, eh?
Yeah, window washers. If I look up, I start feeling dizzy when I look up at window washers.
Yeah.
So acrophobia, I've got that. For sure.
I must have a small amount of that because I've been up to CN Tower numerous times. I've been on that open thing where you can walk right onto the cage and you can see right down. I'm okay with heights if I'm enclosed, but if it's open like a balcony, I can go out to the balcony. But the closer I get to the edge, the more freaked out I get. Yeah. It's just one of these things. I don't know where it comes from. Yeah. It just comes, right?
And yet I can be in an airplane. Turbulence does bother me. But if there's no turbulence and I'm 50,000 feet in the air, I press my nose up against the window and I have no fear of heights. It's interesting, and yet I cannot go up. Up the CN Tower, for example. That for some reason bothers me.
Probably because when you're in an airplane, it's there's very little contrast to show you exactly how high you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And even when you look down and you see, what looks like a map, of territories and stuff, it's almost deceiving to the brain. Like you're not really looking at the actual ground.
Yeah.
But when you're so close to something that you can make out where you are in reference to where everything else is, it becomes scary.
Yeah.
Well, here are 7 other unusual phobias. Okay, let's start off with xanthophobia, the fear of the color yellow. I kid you not, okay? This is why I said, if you have these phobias, we're not saying you're stupid. I'm saying these are stupid to begin with. Sufferers of xanthophobia may fear anything yellow, including the sun, daffodils, and yellow paint.
Oh.
In its most aggressive form, xanthophobic symptoms may include an overwhelming fear of even the phrase yellow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. Here's one that my wife and I could never have. Turophobia, the fear of cheese. Sufferers of turophobia usually associate cheese with a traumatic memory. From cheddar to mozzarella, turophobes often have to run away if they so much as see a slice of cheese. Some may fear one type of cheese, while others may fear cheese altogether.
Well, soft cheeses are pretty disgusting. I'm sorry.
There's disgusting, but I mean, to be afraid of cheese? I mean, what can cheese do to you? This is right. The thing. Anyway.
I'm pretty much vegan, and I'm not afraid of cheese. If it's sitting there on the table, I won't run away.
Yeah. So that, you know what? If somebody could use that phrase, I'm about as so and so as a turophobic mouse, and then they go, huh? But you know what you mean.
I'm using that phrase today.
Yeah. All right. Here's probably a common one. Somnophobia, the fear of falling asleep, and this one I understand. But somnophonia comprises often irrational and excessive fear of sleep. Somnophobes may fear falling asleep because they associate going to bed with dying. Right? It may also result from a feeling of lack of control or from suffering repeated nightmares. Somnophobes may also fear losing time while sleeping. And there's this whole FOMO thing, fear of missing out. People apparently suffer from this. They can't fall asleep or they can't do something because they'll miss out on something. They want to be awake as much as possible, and then they don't get any sleep and they turn into fucking whack jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Here's another one, coulrophobia, the fear of clowns. Sorry, if you... At least I didn't have makeup on.
That was pretty scary.
It, presented by the Meltdown. Colorophobia is a relatively common phobia and usually present in children according to various surveys. The scary clown has often been used in popular culture, for example, in the form of the Joker in Batman comics and film adaptations. Colorophobia has some celebrity sufferers, namely Daniel Radcliffe and Johnny Depp. Now, you know Daniel Radcliffe played Harry Potter.
Yes.
Johnny Depp has played everyone else.
Pretty much.
Depp said of his clown fear, it's impossible, thanks to their painted-on smiles, to distinguish if they are happy or if they're about to bite your face off.
That is a very good point.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
You can't tell.
What about hylophobia, the fear of trees? You afraid of trees, Jeff?
No, I love walking amongst the trees.
Yeah. I'd be afraid if one fell on me.
Yeah.
But that's not the same thing. Hylophobia involves an irrational fear of wood, forest, or trees. It is often caused by exposure to films and fairy tales which involve scary, woods in childhood. Yeah. Many sufferers don't grow out of the phobia, and any walk in a scenic setting can trigger anxiety. Hylophobes suffer extreme anxiety when they simply think about a wood. My wife must have that. I'm just kidding. Oh my God. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, my mind is
Your mind.
elsewhere at the moment. Fear of wood. Fear of Woody Guthrie.
I deserve a...
Fear of Woody Harrelson. Fear of Woody Strode.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of as many
Fear of Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. How many artists can I name named Woody?
I don't know. Okay, let's move on, please. This one I find really interesting. I've never heard of this one until yesterday. Omphalophobia, fear of the navel.
Wow. Not
the Navy, the navel.
Oh,
right?
That's kind of like fear of wood, if you know what I mean.
Sort of. It's very close. Omphalophobia is the fear of belly buttons. Now, sufferers are afraid to have their belly buttons touched or to touch another person's belly button. The fear is often linked with the belly button's association to the umbilical cord and a mother's womb. Omphalophobes can be repulsed just by seeing or thinking about a belly button.
I thought it was the fear of Fallowfield Road here in Ottawa.
Well, that's phallophilophobia. Because, yeah, it's a terrible road. It's too long and it just shouldn't be there. And our last crazy phobia is nomophobia, the fear of being without mobile phone coverage. I know. This would have worked well in our season 1 when we were just blasting social media and cell phones and how they've changed people's lives. So listen to this. The name for the phobia of being without mobile phone coverage was coined 5 years ago after researchers discovered the phenomenon. According to recent surveys, more than half the people in the UK suffer from it. And I'm sure it's widespread in North America as well. The phobia is brought on by the fear of losing signal, running out of battery, or even losing sight of your mobile phone. If you can't see it, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. The cell phone has become such a part of our everyday life, part of us. We're never without it. And there's this apparent reaction, this fear. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've misplaced my phone once or twice. It's like, okay, well, I'll find it. It's either here or I left it somewhere.
And those of you who watched the Meltdown right from season 1 would know how I am with my phone. In fact, I left it in the car before we started shooting, so people know that I do forget my phone all the time.
Yeah, it's probably just a melted puddle of some kind of composite.
It's rather warm out there.
Yeah, so I don't know. It may not work. Okay, here we go. We're going to rattle these off for you, and for the last part of our stupidness. Here are some superstitions from around the world. Okay. Never say happy birthday too early. Celebrating or even congratulating someone on a birthday before the day arrives brings bad luck, at least in Russia, that is. So there you go. That's a Russian superstition. Here's another one. Don't place 2 mirrors opposite each other. The infinite reflections may look cool, but in Mexico and elsewhere, facing mirrors open a doorway for the devil. No. So there you go. Never stick your chopsticks straight up.
Oh, I like doing that.
Yeah, you're never supposed to do that. I'll tell you why, Jeff. Poking chopsticks down into your food is a big no-no in Japan. The utensils, like having them straight up, the utensils look like the unlucky number 4, which means death, and also the incense sticks used at funerals. Another tip, don't point your chopsticks at anyone. That's just plain rude.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now here's something, and this one, we didn't follow that. My uncle gave us a set of knives in a block of really, really good quality ones because he bought another set, and he had no use for 2 sets. Yeah. And he gave us knives, and we said thank you. But this superstition says, give a penny if you've received something sharp. Gifting anything with a blade can supposedly sever a relationship. So if you receive a knife set or a pair of scissors as a present, give the person a coin in return. Yeah. That way, it wasn't a gift. Get it?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see you were a little cloudy on that one. The way
but
I could see the wheels turning. Yeah, what is he talking about? Or he's thinking, when am I going to get a Dairy Queen on the way home?
No, it made me think of free gift from our show about redundancies. So technically it wouldn't be a gift because it's not free because you're giving the penny. That's where my brain was at.
Okay. That's allowed. As long as you're referencing the Meltdown, not thinking of a Sunday.
No, I was linking to another episode of the Meltdown there.
All right, good. You can do that. Here's another superstition. Don't go right home after a funeral. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
A Filipino tradition called pagpag dictates that people never go straight back to the house after a wake. Otherwise, a bad spirit might tag along and come inside. Mourners will make a stop at a restaurant or a store first, just in case.
Wow.
Interesting, eh? Here's another superstition. Whistling indoors invites evil.
Wow.
Whistling while you work may be an issue in Lithuania, where it's forbidden to whistle indoors because the noise is believed to summon demons.
Oh. And whistling in the theater is bad luck.
Ah, that's true. Probably the same demons.
Theater demons.
Theater demons, and they get it free. Lucky bastards. Don't cheers with water. Have you ever cheers with water? Don't do it.
Oh, okay.
Jeff?
Usually have a glass of wine at that point, but if I'll remember that for the future.
This is a German superstition. Und a German superstition. Anyway, German superstition declares that if you cheers with water, you're actually wishing death upon the people you're drinking with.
Ooh.
The idea stems from Greek mythology. So thanks to the Greeks, you want to kill people. And they also invented fear and phobias too. Here's another one. Don't get a haircut on Tuesdays.
Bad news for haircutters and barbers, etc.
There you go. Close up on Tuesdays. No one's coming in. Reconsider your hashtag Transformation Tuesday plans. Getting a haircut on Tuesday in India will cause bad luck based on legend.
Wow.
Here's another one. Don't say the same word at the same time as your friend. According to the local in Italy, if you say the same word as someone in unison, you'll never get married.
Now, that's why.
Now, the good news is, folks, you can undo this. You can fix this. If you say the same thing as your friend, to undo this bad juju, you must immediately touch your nose.
Wow. Or 1, 2, 3 Pepsi on you. Remember that one from the 70s?
Nope.
If you said the same word, this was a thing growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in anyways. If you said the same word at the same time, all you had to do was say 1, 2, 3 Pepsi on you, and that erased all the curse. The curse was gone.
Interesting.
It's also free advertising for Pepsi, I guess.
Yes, and we don't endorse Pepsi. We don't drink it here on the Meltdown.
No.
But
No. 70
now, if Pepsi wants to pay us, supply us with product and then give us a nice big check, absolutely we'll drink your product. Okay, here's the last superstition from around the world. This one comes to us from Spain, and I don't know if it means anything in North America, but it says don't enter a room with your left foot. No. Now, in Spain, walking into a room with your left foot will bring you bad luck. It's always better to enter or leave with your right. And that's it for Zadie superstitions around the world. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go somewhere, when I'm entering a room, leaving a room, I'm not even paying attention to how I'm entering. So imagine in that situation where you have to be conscious. Oh my God, I put my left foot into the room first. I mean, you drive yourself nuts with some of these superstitions.
I believe Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon with his left foot first. I don't know if there's a superstition about when you first step foot on the moon, maybe you should always use your left foot, if in fact it was the left foot, which I believe it was.
But wouldn't that really just all come down to which foot he stepped on the ladder first
I
to
don't
come
think he was
down
thinking
to
of
descend.
like left foot first, right foot. He was just thinking, don't trip and fall.
Yeah.
And remember that line that I wrote while we were traveling to the moon. Some superstitions have their roots in practicality. I mean, the reason that I've heard that you're not supposed to whistle in the theater is that back in the day, before electronics, whistling was a signal for somebody backstage, for example, to activate this or activate that. So if you just carelessly whistled, something might happen that shouldn't at that moment. So from that point of view, it makes sense that the tradition is you do not whistle in the theater. Now, saying the word Macbeth in theater, that seems to be more just irrational superstition. You're not ever supposed to say Macbeth in the theater.
Right. Unless you're going to the show with, Bill Macbeth.
Yeah.
And you can't find him and you walk in with your popcorn. Hey, Macbeth!
I actually was in a Sock and Buskin production of Macbeth 20 years ago, and obviously we had no choice but to say Macbeth if it was one of our lines, and I did in fact say Macbeth in one of my lines, but I didn't feel like it was bad luck. And it was a fun show to be in, so,
And so is this one.
Yes.
The Meltdown.
The Meltdown is definitely fun.
And we've had fun. We want to say thank you, and please join us again next week for episode 3. Until then, ciao, ciao.
See you later.